Good afternoon everybody, how are you all? It's Brian Whitten and ET Art. Welcome back to the channel. I do say channel, but in reality I'm not on the channel here because I have been restricted from uploading on YouTube. I would expect it's going to have something to do with the contents of this video, but I can put this up on my Google Drive. I will share it via my Facebook account. Today, the very first thing I wanted to discuss is, well, fixing up a little bit of misunderstanding, more than a mistake. But I have said to this point that the total number of people being taken from Earth for their crimes against children, crimes against humanity and genocide, and I would imagine a fair few of the people that have hidden the behaviour of those further up our pyramidal structure of society will also be going backwards in their denial of knowledge of why we're here, who put us here, and all such things. Listen, this creation, or this glyph creation here, is a recreation of a glyph that is well known, and it's in the Temple of Luxor, and I have discussed this to this point. I'm going to get straight into this portion we see circled here because it is telling us the amount of people that are getting taken from Earth, like I said, for their crimes. They will be taken, which is why we see 4 different craft here. They're 4 different locations, and that is where these people are going to be taken. So I will go through the process of explaining how we are told this. The red circle here was originally around both of these because I thought they meant the same thing. They are meaning 11.1% of the world's population. It's 876.9 million when you base the population of the world being 7.9 billion. So 876.9 million is this bunch here. And I worked this out here as being 11.1% of this number, which was 97.3 million. That is not wrong, but where I said that they were part and parcel of this, it isn't. It's actually just how the number is obtained. So we have another group of people, 97.3 million, 876.9 million, and this one here is a separate one. This is another 111 million people. These ones are directly related to the USA, as how many they're going to lose taken for their crimes. 111 million, 33% roughly of their population. That is what's going down in America. I'm going to show you how we are told that that's the case. I want you to be aware that you've got this P here. Remember that, because I'm going to show you where we are told and where we confirm that 111 million from America. Now, I've showed you this image before. This is once again a microscopic image taken of a river rock. Our history, past, present and future is written all over the river rocks. Those of you who have been watching my work to this point will be well aware that there are lots of images of rocks that I've shown you to this point. This image we've also discussed before. If I insert now a picture of the star array, of which our star is one of those stars, it's about to move from what was an ABC function within that star array to an outer star, either in a 1 or 2 position. We've discussed this, so I won't go too much over what we've already discussed to this point. I don't want to be dawdling today. In other words, I'll try and make it as quick as possible. When we come back to our TV and look at our star array, it is actually displayed here. We have 2 stars here, 3 here, and 1 further back. They're telling us that these are the stars that we're going to, those that are moved away, certainly the ones that are moving away in the wrong direction. In other words, they will be moved because of the denial of who and how and why we got here. They will be going back to far less advanced worlds. I would expect a world very similar to the one that started on Earth here roughly 2,400 years ago. 3,000 years ago, I've already explained, the Earth is not going around the Sun, it's going up and over the top and under the Sun. It is bringing the harshness of the poles to the equator, and I would expect, and I have said before, that I would expect maybe the Aboriginal tribal people could live during those periods. I've since changed my mind. I believe there is nobody on the planet at that point in time, and our population is restocked 2,400 years ago. So when we come back to our TV and this image here and realise that we're seeing the very same star array, and we have the question mark here next to this star. And when you look at the star array, as I've just inserted, and have another look here, the question mark I had arose over the outer star, where it came from, and so on. And this is where we ended up. Now this portion of that picture I just showed you is the very same page. It's just I wanted to bring your attention just to this part of it. And what you're seeing here is Elvis Presley. That's his profile of his face here, his hair and going back here. The large collar on his shirt is here. He even has an E standing up here and a P laying down there. He has the E standing up, and it's far more larger than the P because his name, he was known as Elvis. You didn't have to actually say Presley after his name for somebody to know who he is. He's an old star. That is why it's on the other side of the star array. This star that these people moving in the right direction from Earth, in other words forward, to a world where they will not be told the lies and that we have to this point. The people leaving, I've discussed till this point, are the Caucasian and North and South American Indian people. They are the ones, or we are the ones in my case, that have to leave Earth. We cannot no longer exist on a straight standing globe, which is what all this is about. So Elvis Presley, we see here, with his E here and his P here, is not only an old star, he's a dead star. And this star, we discussed in one of my most recent videos, is being brought through a black hole and brought across a galaxy. It will be placed 8 light years away from our current star, and that is where those leaving Earth in a positive movement and forward direction will be moving to, okay? But the reason I wanted to come back to this is just to make you aware of E and P, and where, like I said, he's a dead star. But where does Elvis Presley come from? He comes from America. Now we'll go back to our glyphs. I want you to note that the E is standing up here. Now remembering the image that I just showed you, which is Elvis Presley, directly opposite and a display of the star array, we now come back to our glyph and the blue circled portion of these glyphs. Why I said to you, note that what you've got is the E standing up and the P laying straight. What do you have now? You have the E laying flat and the P standing up. It is telling us, where is Elvis Presley from? America. The number from America will be 111 million. It will not be wrong, and we get the verification right here. Where I had said that the likelihood that those taken from America would be in the area of that in relation to the whole area of the United States was actually incorrect. The 111 million is being verified in the distance from there to the very line created by the tilted axis, in this case the northern tropics, Tropic of Cancer. The distance from Roswell, and the crash site is 33.33.33 north, the distance from that point to that line is 1,110 kilometers, and that will be correct because the same distance up here, gone from the finger of Lake Superior, which points down to our Utah pillar, left there only, I would expect, probably within the last 18 months, is not guesswork. We know this is right. And 6,888 kilometers on this line here, down to Paracas, is proving that. without doubt. And it's got to do with the penalty. We see 876 kilometres across here, reflective of the 11.1% of the world population of 876.9, but we are going from the most western side of the biggest lake to the most western side of the smallest lake in the Great Lakes. That's what we're getting told. This is without doubt telling us the number out of the States will be 111 million, and they're going down. The very same process is showing us in Australia. That one will not be wrong. It's 111 million out of the land of Elvis Presley, which is why we see the E laying down. Why? Because Elvis is dead and lies under the ground in America. Now what we're going to do is we'll add up the total of all those numbers we just saw represented in the glyph worldwide. We've got our first number, which was 876.9 million. We have our 11.1% of that, but that was another bunch of people again. 11.1% of that number is 97.3, but they are an additional 97.3 million. And then we'll add to that our 97.3 million. And then we will add to that the 111 million from the USA. Our total amount of people being taken from Earth for their crimes, these are not the ones just moving forward, these are the ones going back to the 4 other star systems in a backwards motion, is 1,085,200,000. We will double check our figures. 876.9 million plus 97.3 million plus 111 equals 1,085,200,000. Now what we'll do is we'll take our 1.085, just to be pretty close, off our 7.9 billion, okay? Remember the number, 1085, 7.9 billion minus 1.085 equals 6.8. That is how many people are going to be left on Earth after those removed for their crimes are taken away. 6.8 billion. Now remember that number if you will. 6.8 billion. Now I brought Google Earth up to show you where we can double check that figure. In other words, those that get left on Earth. At least temporarily, because they've got to get the lesson that I'm giving here and that our leaders haven't given us. My task was to tell the leaders, and their task was to tell the world. It was not mine. That is without doubt the situation. So really, I've never really cared whether the good people got to hear my story. It wasn't me who had the responsibility to tell them. It was our world leaders. They have had, well, since I've started my work about 4 years to tell us, I would expect nobody's going to say a word, which is why I'm here. I wouldn't be doing this at all if the case was that anybody on the earth had what it took to deliver the message. I wouldn't be here doing this. My task is to tell the leaders, and the leaders' task was to tell everybody else. Now, I want you to be aware that when you draw from Easter Island, which is where this line starts, all the way over to the other side, to Egypt, to the very top of the pyramid of Khephren, which is the one with the structure inside it. We come back to the point where it crosses the equator here, which is pretty much where land meets sea at this point. From there to there is 6,888 kilometres. And remembering that on Easter Island we have 888 Maui. They are reflective of the people that are going to be removed from Earth. We've already proved that in the figure that we've got that had 876.9 million. When we subtract that from 888, we had a remainder of 11.1. That is how I understood the 97.3 is a remainder. In other words, it's another 11.1%, but it wasn't to be taken of the world population, it was just to be taken of the 876.9 million. When we go from this very point here down to the very first impact that tilted the globe, this one here, to the very centre of that point there, from where you cross the equator is also 6,888 kilometres, as it is to go from Paracas, right where the line crosses the coast on this side of South America, all the way up to the finger of Lake Superior, is also 6,888 kilometres. So I want you to be aware of what we're being told there, that 6,000 is in actual fact the length of the cycle that it's taken since the Earth's axis was tilted and the plane of rotation of Earth around Sun drifted for the 180 degrees. It has taken 6,000 years to complete, and we're getting close to that period of time where they come back and manage these movements of Earth. I've discussed that in my last video too. That is not the point of this video. I just want you to be aware that where the 6,888 is written, it is written in more places, and the 888 we also see reflected in Australia. In the line that Uluru is on, the line of longitude, is the very centre of this impact, right here. When you come down from here and go through the centre of the impact, around the Antarctic continent, back up through Australia, this line goes directly right through the middle of Uluru, as we see in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and also Maralinga. Like I said, they know full well what I'm telling you is correct. But what I wanted to do now from a mathematical perspective is the following. Now, remembering the 6.8 billion people that are left on Earth, having calculated from the glyph all the numbers that are removed, I come back to those numbers that I just showed you on Google Earth, 6,888. Let's divide 6,000 divided by 888 and see what our total is. Our number is 6.7. Okay, so what they're telling us here is between 6.7 and 6.8 billion is what the amount of people that will be left on the planet. And you wouldn't want to be wrong. That's why it's left the way it is. Okay? So we're going to lose 1,085,000,000 people. They are those that will be taken away. That number may have varied greatly had the leaders told the truth. And those that are not telling the truth to those in their same group further down the chain, thinking, oh well, I'm not going to tell you anything, you're going to go. That may not be the outcome. It could be that the very people that are not telling even their own bunch further down the chain, they may be just lengthening their period of time for their sentence. And it is many, many, many thousands of years. Once again, we are looking at a microscopic image from a river rock here, but before I wanted to go venture further into the video, into explaining things that we didn't know, I wanted to just cover very quickly the fact that we are being told that star with a question mark on it, being an old star, is being brought through the black hole at the centre of our galaxy. And I will, at the end of this video, confirm without doubt how you will know the leaders of our world know exactly what is going on here, to the degree of everything. Everything I've explained to you to this point on my channel is going to end up being correct, and our leaders know full well this is the truth of mankind that we have had hidden from us the truth of our existence in the cosmos. They know everything that I've said here is correct. For the most part, I mean, I've made mistakes. Understanding the mistakes has taken me a long time to get to this point, but we move on. So this was an image that I said to you, showed and indicated that they're going to move a star through the black hole over to this side of the galaxy, and the people leaving Earth will go to this star. That's why we see Elvis Presley to the right side, an alien in the middle, and the star array on the left side with the inserted picture here yet again. Now back to the TV, if I would. Now this is not the only place where I've been told the story. This has also been on mainstream media, that the scientists had seen a star emitted from a black hole. I think they've actually changed that tune a little bit on that one, not because it was wrong, it's now they want to make it star gas. It's not star gas, it's as displayed, being brought through, protected through the black hole, and it is being brought from the other side of what was the remnants or remaining quarter of our galaxy, which is still on the other side of the black hole. But I wanted to show you that because of this. And like I said, the message is on more than one rock. This is a totally different rock. It has the same story, a star being emitted from the black hole, and it would appear that the people on this earth, it has them somewhat concerned, because I have a feeling, like I said, that these people thought that they had longer. They haven't got longer. I would expect things to go down this year still. I'm still of the belief, although I've had that wrong many times. If you looked at my work, you would have found a whole series of work on ET Art by B. Whitten on YouTube that concerns with the placement of nuclear bombs all over the globe by our leaders to try and kill as many of us as possible, because we are the prize, technically. The people that come through from the other side, the people that will show up to Earth, they come for the good people, and their attempt was, well, if we're going to go backwards, we'll kill everybody else that's here. In other words, remove the prize. That's exactly what you would expect from the royals, exactly what you would expect from the world elite. If they can't have what they want, we'll be damned with all of you. And I wondered as to why the people coming here gave them so many chances. Why are you letting them try over and over and over and over? You know, I've counted in dates and times, at least 6 to 7 times they've attempted nuclear strikes, even on our own land here, every capital city in Australia. And Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, our own politicians being involved, our own military being involved, US military, the English, UK military, all of them. And I often wondered why. I'll answer that question today as well. But as you can see, it's on more than one rock, and this is telling us exactly that they have seen a star emitted from the black hole, and that is the star, the good people that are leaving Earth in a positive, right, forward direction with truth, will move there. We cannot live on this Earth any longer once that Earth is stood straight. And it is not the speed of rotation, it's more to do with the rays of the sun. It becomes very painful. Jesus is a white man in the Bible for a reason. I'm not saying Jesus wasn't here, he was. He's certainly on the rocks and he's certainly crucified. But Jesus is a white man because he feels all humans like white people and the Caucasians. That is their problem. We feel like we're nailed to a cross. Most of the European people, it is extremely painful to live on a straight globe. So as much as you may think, I don't want to go anywhere, you will want to go, I can assure you. Now moving on. Now I do realise that when I upload my file, as I have this one, onto my Google Drive, for some reason or other the playback capabilities is not quite as good as what would normally be available on my YouTube channel. But it's probably irrelevant because I actually watched it a few times and it wasn't too bad. So I wanted to bring you back to this one first. This image is a microscopic rock image yet again of yet another rock. And we are looking at the facial feature here and the curved or arched head of a hominid that is evolved from a dinosaur. And I said this was us, but it's not us. It's actually not. I'm going to explain as I go along. Their problem was that they evolved after us when the galaxy that we were in had grown to its capacity. Roughly, would appear to be about 7 billion years. I will show you an archaeological artifact shortly that will discuss the human existence in the same galaxy as the reptilians. But their problem was, as I said, dead stars. It was the dead stars that were building up in the outer of the galaxy that caused it to withdraw. It's a very natural thing for a galaxy to do. Once it becomes imbalanced, it draws the mass back towards the center. It is that compression of mass in the center of the galaxy that creates the black hole, and the galaxy starts to withdraw. The reptilians, having evolved in the very outer part of a 7 billion year old galaxy, is now seeing the mass of the galaxy deplete. In other words, the less mass the galaxy had, the neutrino particles that are dispersing the energy of a spiraling galaxy are not a constant. They are far slower towards the inner portions of a galaxy than they are on the outer portions of a galaxy. And so these particles that we are told from scientists have no effect on us, oh boy they do. Okay, so this man here and his partner, they couldn't move closer to the center of the galaxy because the outcome was that if they tried, they would give birth to monkeys. And this black figure that you see here, when you're moving the light around on this rock, or on this rock, it's actually, the black figure is actually a female holding a baby on a hip. But in reality, what the baby is this monkey. I'll insert this picture for you so you get a clear image of it. But that was their problem. And because the galaxy was shrinking, they were going to have a major problem here. They were going to disappear. The less and less the galaxy got, the slower the particles moved. The outcome was that either way. It was exactly the same as if they'd moved closer to the center of the galaxy. They couldn't do it. Now I'll show you the Callisto's plate. I did state before that I would get to a point where I would understand and explain to you why the people of Earth now, the leaders, had been given so many chances with attempt after attempt after attempt of nuclear holocaust and attempts to kill as many of us as possible. And I truly did wonder as to why you're letting these guys do this. Now I will tell you why. This is Callisto's plate. It is an archaeological find, supposed to be unexplained, but in actual fact it's actually telling us about the human existence within the galaxy that the reptilians lived within. In other words, their solar system that they lived in, which is why we see Mars in our solar system, remembering this whole process of leaving all this here for us, is a lesson in 1,000 different things and in many, many fields. But we're seeing here a representation that the galaxy, with any of these little circles you see like this where you've got 7 dots, you're seeing a 7 billion year old galaxy, and I would expect these are visits back in time, which is what the reptilians could do. They were a very, very smart bunch of people. But how do you get around the problem they've got? The galaxy that they live within, having evolved when it's its full size, how do you get around that problem if the galaxy's been absorbed? The only way, and they knew that there had been people living on their own planet because they had remnants of past civilizations. They also knew that they had a planet within their solar system, like Mars, that was not a lifeless planet, but it still showed signs of a civilization. They were gone back in time to get the seed of those that come before them, to see if they could exist and do something about the problem they had. It was the only way around their problem. So what they did, and we're seeing here, is a record of humans within this galaxy Whence it was 4.3 billion years old, or at least it's just a little over 4 billion years of human existence within the galaxy, the very galaxy and the very solar system that the reptilians evolved in. That's how they knew there'd been people prior. So they go back in time and they find humans. I want you to be aware, I'm going to zoom in on, first of all, the right plate first. I'll centre that a little bit this way so you can see the difference between one and the other. On this one here, our first walking man is right here. He's right in here. This is like very, very, very early on. And we're talking here not the galaxy being pulled through a black hole here. We're talking about creation here. The creation of things. And man is right here after the first sector. Right here, he's already walking. He's a hominid and he's walking this early in the galaxy. If you're a religious person, by the way, and you believe in God and the creation of man as being part of the universe, in actual fact that's exactly what the message is reading. We see him evolve here, and he's still here, but I want you to be aware that over on this plate there is no walking man at any point. So we've got planet A here and planet B. We're talking about a being here, a hominid, a human, modern human, just like you and I, being very, very early on here. But the only difference was that there was no, breeding all year round. We were breeding here, like the animal kingdom, I would expect once a year. That's why we see such long periods, because we don't have overpopulation issues. What we've got to do is really, really try hard to maintain our numbers. You really have to, otherwise you would just, fade away to nowhere. So in actual fact, what we're getting told here is that human existence very, very early on in the galaxy's creation here. There is no evolution going on here, and I'll show you something else within the latter part of the video that will absolutely verify that. Now when we come over to our other plate, we see that the first walking man is out here. And if we count these as rings beyond here, we're talking about the 3rd billionth year of the growth of our galaxy. Here is our 4th billionth year. Now I want to zoom in, if I will, back to the first plate and show you that what we're seeing here is we're getting spoken of here with our movement away from our planet to another planet within the same solar system. However, moving to this one creates the problem we've got. In other words, I would suspect that this planet here was livable. It spun in the opposite direction on its axis, and it also was in a state where we could breed all year round. That is exactly why the Earth is where it is, how it is right now, and because it's telling us what caused the problem. Okay? And this human spinning on a planet in the wrong direction is, after 300 to 400 years, they created the very same people that we've got running our Earth at the moment. They are expressed in multiple religious terms as fallen angels, but in reality they are humans that have a very, very, very big problem. But when they stand on a globe spinning in the wrong direction, they turn into total maniacs, which is why they let these people have so many goes, and I will explain. I want to zoom in, first of all, to this plate, and our existence was fine here for, the first 3 billion years. I want to zoom into this little portion down here, and I want you to be aware of how close these 4 dots are to the edge of the plate here. They're right on the very edge of the plate, and our man is here. Okay? What you're seeing here is a record of, over this side, I will bring you attention to the very same portion of the plate, and realise that in this plate here, now our 4 dots are quite a bit further in from the edge here. There are the same number of sectors from the centre on both plates. So the period of time between this 4 and the other 4 is a very short period of time. what you're actually getting recorded and told us, in my opinion, on this plate is the extinction of human race within the galaxy prior to, you know, that 4.3 billion mark. That's why this is so close to the edge here, and this is a little further away. This is planet B, it's the one we went to, this one here. That's what happened. These people here were able to breed far quicker. They also developed this problem with their mental, you know, their mental understanding of what it took to remain, and they eventually they wiped this planet out altogether, which is why you see this stop at the 4 billion year mark. This goes on a little bit further, but not much further. They in the end create a situation where they're totally bonkers. They end up destroying their own planet, and humans like you and I no longer exist. That is what that plate is telling us, that we were extinct, and that answers the question as to why they have let the world leaders at this present point in time try so many times to kill as many of us as possible, because what better way would there be to prove to you that that's exactly why we were made like this. We were extinct. The very same stupid fools that we've got running our world now that tried to kill us all off are the very same stupid fools that brought about our extinction. That's exactly why they let them have so many chances, and why they let them attempt it over and over and over again. They are absolutely genocidal maniacs, and that is why that's happened. So I just want you to be aware that we are being told here that we were extinct. Now the next one's a microscopic rock image, but it is absolutely magnificent, and I will show you where we are told that they came back in time. And that's why I believe we are seeing these visits here, these 7 years here. There may be multiple visits here to see who was here and obtain the DNA of people. I would imagine not just the DNA. I think when they, like I said, we were a creature of creation. They know we got here. They are not a stupid people. They realise their problem with a 7 billion year old shrinking galaxy, that they can't actually even exist or try and breed going closer to the centre of the galaxy. Therefore they know our ability here to do such a thing is making humans not a creature of evolution, but a creature from creation. And they know that themselves. That is exactly why. And they haven't gone back to just get our DNA. They came back and they took us with them, because I believe they would have had the ability to show them what was down the track. And so they came and they did take humans like you and I back with them in the future, and there was an agreement both between the hominids, or the humans I should say, and the reptilian hominids, because they also knew what the reptilian hominids problem was. Okay, and they agreed to help each other, and that's what's transpired here. Now I will insert this image for you in the hope that you get it nice and clearly, and I do hope this image comes out good when I come back to our TV now and show you, because it is absolutely astounding. It is amazing. Some of the information that's written on these rocks is absolutely amazing. It truly is. I'm going to zoom in initially. What we're seeing here is the beings that sat within the galaxy, resulting in the aliens on the outer part of the galaxy. When it reached its 7th billionth year, the extinction of the white man taking place prior within that 4 billion year period. Now what I'm going to do is I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'll concentrate down here on this bottom right corner, and I'm going to just zoom in a little bit and move our picture this way. Okay, so you can concentrate on what we're seeing on this side. On this side here we have our white man right here, and his profile here. In this part here, although it's not so clear here, I do realise here you're going to have difficulty seeing this, and this is a still image. I'm not moving the light around the rock, but the black man comes out very, very clearly here. So we are saying here that the white man and the black man were right here very, very early on, at the point in time of creation of the galaxy. Very early on, certainly with no time for evolution to take place, without doubt. Okay. Over here in the middle, we see this bloke. He's sticking his tongue out at these other people over here. Why? Because he, and this is where we get our attachment, humans, white man and black man, to the Neanderthal. Because the Neanderthal is a being that is evolved from the remnants of the fools that killed everybody. Whether he is a being that was lived through a nuclear holocaust, or whether it created some other being was able to come from that, that's who it is. It's the Neanderthal. You notice he's sticking his tongue out. I would expect the Neanderthal is actually a non-existent race, to be honest. I think that their DNA, where they came back and took the white man and black man with them, they didn't take the Neanderthal. They just got their DNA, and I would think that him sticking his tongue out here is telling you pretty much that that's the case. I will insert this picture here, once again, as confirmation that that's what we're seeing. Look at what you see. You see the Neanderthal man right face to face with the aliens. Why? Because he evolved just prior to them. That is what has happened. They didn't want to offer the DNA. I would expect they're gone by the time the reptilians evolved from dinosaurs. That Neanderthal man has gone about this period of time. Now I want to go most over to the right side here and bring your attention to these creatures here. This is absolutely amazing. I'll zoom out a bit so you get the full frame at this end. Albeit it's not moving light here, but you also see an ape or yeti face in here. So they're saying it didn't really matter whether or not they moved closer to the, or tried to have children moving closer to the centre of the galaxy. They couldn't do that. And nor with the shrinking galaxy would give them the same outcome here, which is why the ape's face is that side. Now I want to draw your attention to this bloke here. His triangular head, his eye here and his eye here and his mouth here. Right there is the male icon for a male, a circle with an arrow pointing this way. Here is his female counterpart. With her head held high, her head is up here. But with her head down low, she has a human face. And what they're saying, her head is held low because she's got a problem with giving birth to children, and now they have to take on the DNA of the human, which is why they come back to get us. And she's sad. That's why her head is down low as a human. She's not real happy with having done that, or having to have done that. But why? Why? Because the black hole, the centre of the galaxy, they couldn't get there to do what they needed. This is exactly what you're seeing here. A black hole with planetary bodies being pulled through. It's telling you exactly what the problem was. Here you can see, like I said, if I zoom in like that, you can see the alien in his arrow, circle in his arrow on his head. Here is the male. So the female has had to take on DNA of Neanderthal, right here. Just like our other picture says, it's the Neanderthal that is not meeting face to face nor at a period of time. These guys are finished. But they've come back to see them, but they've just gone, no, stuff you. So they just took the DNA they needed out of these blokes. But they brought the white man and the black man and the modern humans, like you and I and everybody on the planet right here, they brought us back into existence. That's exactly what has happened. The reptilians, having taken on the DNA of humans and Neanderthal, have got exactly the same problem. They know that's going to happen. They know if they went and stood on a globe spinning in the wrong direction, that they too will have the same, failure. The downfall of their spirit and their spiritual awareness, or their, these demon type people that we've got on our globe that are absolutely hell-bent on death and destruction and the rape of little children and the sacrifice of little babies. They are going to have these same issues in their own race, which I would expect by then they really didn't have a choice. They either did this or they perished. Then their children would have turned into monkeys, and their very, very advanced societies all gone. So I think, like I said, which is why this white man here is really happy. And the black man too, like I said, you just can't get that real clear. Okay, but the reason they came back to do this is, I would expect that maybe they tried to bring us back and got us to do certain work, but in reality what they tried to do was cart the dead stars from the outer part of the galaxy to the black hole here, but they couldn't do it quick enough, and eventually I would expect they had to take on, you know, the DNA of a human anyway. But I would also expect, like I said, that they brought us back into existence knowing full well that our existence was one that was from the creation, because it's not the period of time for evolution to take place. They know that. They know how long it took them to get the way they are here. You know, but billions of years. They didn't have billions of years. This human's sitting right in the middle of a very, very early galaxy. We are a creature of creation, is what we are. They know they're not. They are a creature of evolution in time. In this image, once again a microscopic rock image, we are getting the very same story. I will insert once again the picture for you to get it clear, although like I said, it's not viewed. I do think you can possibly download my file and watch it on your TV. You're welcome to do so. I have not stopped downloads out of my Google Drive of these videos, so you can do that rather than watch it live, because I think the viewer, certainly when you watch it, puts it out at very low pixel rate. Now look at what we're seeing here. We have our white man's feature here. We have our black man here. But right here we have a dinosaur's head. His eye here, and they're saying the dinosaur here. We were before the dinosaurs, because that's what you're seeing. You're before the dinosaur. What we see back here is a path. And what do we see back here? Our black man and our white man again. They're saying here, that's exactly what they did. They came back and got the black and white man and put him this side. Took him back with us. Brought us back into existence. We were gone. We were extinct, and made so by the very fools that run our world, that have hidden our history from us. That is what they are saying happened. I showed you this image before too, and said to you that what we're seeing here is the 97 million that we've already mentioned to this point, 97.3 million, our 11% of 876.9 million, but not part of that 876.9 million, that there are going to this planet here. This is a planet where the dinosaurs are far from extinct. You were brought via UFO, left on this planet, and will serve a sentence for many, many, many thousands of years, which is where the Paracas skulls come in. They are human skulls, but they are human skulls that have spent many, many, many thousands of years for their sentence. Probably 1,000, you know, you're lucky not getting 1,000 years for every person you killed, because they have to be responsible for millions and millions and millions of humans' deaths for the last 2,000 years. Now, having said what I've discussed to this point of where the people go, in other words, the people are put back. They will go back and start a cycle. They will go back and start a cycle just like we're finishing. So like I said, 2,400 years ago, everybody that's going back 2,400 years ago are the very same people that are getting taken, the very same types of people at least, that are getting taken away now. So our population of the world that we started roughly 2,400 years ago are the people that wouldn't tell their people the truth in a modern world like ours. The people that got put back here 2,400 years ago came from a world as modern as ours. Do you think they're going to tell the people that they bore from there the truth, when they wouldn't even tell us here and now? Of course they're not. This is why the messages had to be hidden the way it was within the design of the pyramids and the design of all such things. So what you're seeing here is dinosaurs though. But the humans get put back here as younger humans. The Queen is here. She's not dead. She was taken on the last day of her Jubilee. That is why you got the hologram story. She got in the carriage as a 96-year-old woman, but was viewed as a very young woman because they changed her when in the process of the ride. They are a very, very smart bunch of people here. And by the end of the ride, she was gone. The Queen is already here. But the Queen is here as a 33-year-old young woman running for her life from these. But I've just told you the reptilians evolved in the outer part of the galaxy. We're talking about reptilians here being very, very smart hominids. Why are we seeing dinosaurs here? And you know what, if you watch the video of this, which I put in the end of one of my last videos, I think it's actually on the other one on Google Drive called Confirmation. I'll call this video Confirmation Part 2, so you'll know which one to watch. But what you've got here is this dinosaur. It's either that or it's the last one on my YouTube channel. I'm unsure at this present point in time, but it's either going to be one or the other. But what you're seeing here is dinosaurs. And when you move the light very slowly on this, is why I actually put it in the video, when you move the light on this, you can see like light come into this dinosaur and then go back out, and as it's going in it sort of changes from like light to sort of a hominid. What they're actually saying here is the reptilian species that go through the same cleansing process here and identification of this behaviour. They do the very same thing with the reptilians. But what they're putting back here is they're putting a really, really smart, intelligent person and their psyche and everything they think they are, but if they're a soulless person and you want to act like an animal, they'll put you in the animal that you came from. And that is why you're seeing dinosaurs here. But the humans do not go back on this planet as something that they evolved from. Why? Because they didn't evolve from anything. This is where the reptilians tell us exactly the same thing. We are creatures born from the creation of the universe. An amazing story. Now just how much do they know? I'll tell you, they know absolutely everything. And the mere fact that they've been put back in time, having been the liars that withheld all this from us, the very same people that started our world 2,400 years ago, nobody has been told the truth. And I even bring that down to my fellow people here in Australia, the Indigenous Aboriginals of Australia. Your elders are the same. The elders that went back and started your race were the very ones that are coming and getting taken away from here and right now, and I would expect before Christmas. Certainly that is what we're being told, and I do urge you to go back and watch that video, because you'll see the light come in and out of this dinosaur here, and you realise in the end they're telling you about the spiritual existence and psyche of a very, very intelligent hominid, but you want to act like an animal in a modern world, well, they'll put you back in your animal suit that you evolved from. But the humans do not cop the same thing here, because there is nobody before. Now, how much do they know? Let me show you the following. Now, I brought back up the cross-section of the Pyramid of Khafre. It does record the movements of Earth and the speeds when the tilting of the axis happened. It's not the only thing it records. Within the portion here circled, and within the ratios of 33 and 48, we are being told how much of the galaxy has actually been pulled through the black hole. We are seeing the Queen and King's chamber here reflective of the mass on the other side of the black hole and the mass of the galaxy that's already been pulled through. The King's chamber is telling us we've got roughly 3/4 of our galaxy this side of the black hole, with a quarter still remaining. The movement of stars in and out of the black hole may very well have left this open and delayed the process. It may have happened far more quickly had it not have been manipulated one way or the other. It also is more highly likely that the opening of that black hole gave us more understanding of many, many things. Just exactly how we make a move from galaxy to galaxy, I do not know, but I'm certain we will get taught that we exist in other galaxies other than the one we're in, not just other star systems. And I would imagine we have many life forms that have evolved from both the reptilians and the humans over the many millions of years, because we're looking at this black hole in the 33 minutes here. I would expect we're seeing reflective of 33 million years, with possible 48 before the rest of it's moved through here. Okay, so we've got this much here, there's this much more to come. Now, I have said that to you, and I've also said to you the very important thing is these particles that we are told don't make any difference. They're absolutely very critical, based upon a given being and where they evolved within the growth of a galaxy, as to whether or not they have a record of existence within the middle or the small or growing galaxy, because the particles are not going to be spinning anywhere near as quickly if they're dependent upon mass and energy and so on. So just exactly how much of this do they know? Well, they know all this too. How do we know? I'll show you the following. What we have in front of us here is the logo for CERN. Those of you who don't know what CERN is, it's a particle accelerator in a big ring that sits within France and in Europe. It's a joint initiative between, I think, Sweden and France. It's a particle accelerator. They're actually trying to identify the very particles that I've just mentioned to you, these neutrinos. They are very small, and until this point they actually didn't even know. They know they exist, but they can't see them. I've got a question there. How do you know if they exist if you can't see them? Why? Because they know everything I've just told you is true. They knew about it long ago. They're the very people that keep away the truth of man's existence. You know exactly why. They know it exists because they know exactly what I'm telling you is right. I want you to take a close look at this. What did I just say the pyramid represents? That it says that there's 3/4 of the galaxy this side of the black hole, and one side, 1/4 the other side. See, the one thing in question I had, if I showed you this inserted image here, I was thinking about this quite some months back. The galaxy, once it goes through the black hole, what happens? Do things go through like this? If this was our north-south pole, they go down the hole. If they come back out that way, well, the galaxy is going to be spiraling in the opposite direction. And I'm talking about everything here, stars, suns, stars, planets, the whole solar system. If the solar system is going down and it's standing like this and it's going down the black hole and comes out the other side this way, well, it makes sense that the galaxy on the other side of the black hole is going to be spiraling in the opposite direction. This is the CERN logo. Now look at what we're looking at. CERN is written in this front circle here. Right? There is a back circle here. Now look how many lines we've got coming out of the back circle. We have 1. Look how many lines we've got coming out of, and look at what direction it's coming in. So if we come down the leg, we're going this way. Now the front circle with the word CERN in it, we've got 1 coming in this way, 1 coming in this way, and 1 coming in this way. So now we've got 1/4 and 3/4 this side, exactly what is displayed within the Pyramid of Khafre. And we've got one little line here. Why do we have this one little line here? Let's go back to our star array. Now we come back to our star array, and like I said, I mentioned to you before, I had a question mark over this star. Well, I've crossed the question mark out now because I've answered the question where that star is going to come from. The people that have to leave Earth when the motion of Earth or its function within the array moves from here to here, well, those that have to leave Earth will take up residence around the planets that orbit the new star. That is the situation. If I insert this image here, it's not hard to tell, if I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the snow crabs, whole millions of them that are normally farmed this time of year, Well, I went out to do that this year and there aren't any left. So when we come back to our star array, and we will answer that question as to why does the CERN logo have one little line travelling in the opposite direction than the three big lines, we are being told the very same process, that they're red dwarf stars. There are three of them that cycle repetitively around this star array, of which our sun is one of those stars. And that's what we're seeing here. Everything in the galaxy, in respect neutrinos, is going in the opposite direction, bar a very small part of it that is going in the opposite direction, driven by red dwarf stars that are speeding at almost light speed around the star array. They know everything that I've told you. That's why the CERN logo, which is directly related to neutrino particles within a galaxy, has got a logo telling you exactly what I've just worked out. So they know everything, absolutely everything. We know our star is going to be here for those that are leaving Earth. We know that X, more importantly, is visited 3 times more regularly by the red dwarfs than this star. And we know that in turn is getting visited 3 times more regularly than this star. Because that's what's happening here. Why are we seeing this X? That star is the penalty star, the one I showed you with the dinosaurs and the UFO arriving. They're rolling in with red dwarf stars there. There is also something else happening. As we are moving out here and our humans are being put back to this star and that star, the ones that fail, the good people that come from the bad do not have the problem. But in the process of this moving out here, we are getting hereditary growth and variation in the speeds of the neutrinos within the star systems, so that when we pop out the end here in our 65,000 year cycles, or at least at this present point, we have remaining a couple of 100,000 years before people that stem from us will leave and be in a binary star system. That's what I would expect to happen, and we will live on multiple planets totally differently, and we will, without doubt, I would expect, even taking up our residence on this star, as will the ones that leave here. Our all year round reproduction, that won't happen any longer. It only ever happened because of our venture to a planet that was favourable to allow that to happen. But it actually caused our demise. That's exactly what we are told. So they know absolutely everything that I've told you on my channel. I know I made a lot of mistakes on the way through, but it was rather a lot to get through. I do not understand, the physics without doubt. I can tell you now, I barely understand it enough to be able to explain it, but that is what we're being told. The red dwarf stars are going and spiraling in our galaxy, albeit, like I said, I don't know that. I'm just saying that CERN know, or would seem to know, that within our small part of our galaxy, these red dwarf stars aren't just making the neutrinos move quicker, but they're actually creating life that can exist within a galaxy spiraling in either direction, and from the outer of the galaxy all the way to the inner. And humans like you and I are within this, because I would expect beyond our Earth that the reptilians and the humans that have left this process have cleansed, and they no longer have people within our society operating the way they do in this world, as the reptilian world would still be the same. Whether we do a lot together, I would expect we probably do a lot together here. We will meet them. How much they look like us now, having taken on a human DNA, I don't know, I really don't. It certainly seems that they're showing us in their imagery that they look very similar. That is without doubt, So, just how much, I don't know. I really don't. There are, like I said, things above my pay grade, and that's certainly physics is one of them. But I do understand the message, and I've read it as best I can. I know I've made mistakes, and made a lot of them, but I'm absolutely certain the leaders of our world know absolutely everything that I've just told you, and I would believe the CERN logo represents exactly that. There is one more thing I'll show you before I finish up, but it is equally important. I'll insert the image that I showed you already and make you understand that when I saw that and I come to the understanding of the Lithos plate, and I thought, well, I wonder what's a little bit further right on the rock where the white man is and our black man sit. The very early portions of our existence within what was a galaxy that was growing from its creation. And I wanted to show you something, because if we come back to our TV now, I'll zoom in a little bit here and show you that once again here is our white man's face. Our black man's face is in here. It's a little bit more clearer. And I thought, well, I'm going to have a look further to the right to see what I can see. I see this here. I know it's a difficult thing with a slow, with still photo when I'm moving light is how I'm seeing this. I initially saw this line come up here, and when you've got the light in a certain part, the pyramid is reasonably clear here. But then you move it and the shadow comes in and you get this sort of thing here. And this looks like either Noah's Ark or a crashed ship of some sort. Obviously this is early in the galaxy here. So they're making it look like we came here from somewhere else 7 billion years ago, when the galaxy was on the other side and just at a point of creation. Now, I'm not saying that we aren't part of creation, because to be able to exist there, right in the word go, you have to be a creature that is born, no matter where you've come from, to exist at the start of a galaxy. You have to be part of the creation process. So, albeit that's there, it does open another Pandora's box as such, but I would expect it's probably saying, listen, yes, we did crash here via a spaceship in a very, very early galaxy, but to have done so, we would have had to come from somewhere. So did we come there from the past? Did we come there from another place? I don't know. I would suspect possibly time, and maybe the bad guys, us humans with the problem, got their hands on the tools of time travel at some point, and that may have been something that had to be they had to get rid of as well. So there's, like I said, gets a little bit tricky in places. That is also another one that gets a little bit tricky, because that's exactly what that looks like. It looks like a crashed ship, and it also has like a pyramid shape here as well. So, albeit I've said it is without doubt we are creatures from the creation of the universe, it doesn't necessarily mean we got created in that galaxy. I don't know. It may be, like I said, a time-related thing. This may be a crash ship here isn't not necessarily a time or come from another place, but from another time. So maybe at a point in time, these bad guys got back here, and I would think that's possibly cleaned out now. That doesn't exist any longer. I don't know. I'm sure that question will be answered by those that come. I think I'll finish up. Sorry the video's taken as long as it has to get through all the points I needed to discuss today, but I certainly would expect, I have called some of my other videos the last lesson. I would expect this as the lessons beyond this point will be served by those that come. This is Brian Whitten and ETR. Thank you very much for your attention. Have a lovely day, everybody. Bye-bye.